All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're stripping away every single excuse you might have and confronting the absolute ultimate cost of playing it safe. We're going to be exploring a super powerful concept that we've termed the ghost protocol, and we'll unpack the incredibly vital philosophy of falling forward to outrun your own unfulfilled potential. So picture this for a second. Imagine you're at the very end of your life, lying on your deathbed, and suddenly, this stark question becomes a literal reality. How many ghosts will surround your bed? Now, in this scenario, which is actually drawn from a really powerful speech by Denzel Washington, these aren't just any ghosts. They're angry, disappointed spirits representing your unfulfilled potential. They're the ideas you never acted on, the talents you completely ignored, and they're gathering around you right at the end simply because you never acted on them. And that brings us to our core framework, the ghost protocol. It basically takes that terrifying deathbed scenario and flips it. Instead of a source of despair, it becomes this urgent, high-octane fuel for your life right now. It's that immediate realization that if you don't act, your greatest gifts will literally die with you. So this isn't meant to depress you. It's actually meant to be the ultimate catalyst for uncompromising action today. This chilling quote from Denzel perfectly illustrates the stakes we're dealing with here. These ghosts of unfulfilled potential, they look right at you and say, "We came to you because you could have brought us to life, and now we have to go to the grave together." You have to take risks. You have a true desire in your heart, what Denzel calls that God-given itch. And that itch, it's proof sent beforehand to indicate exactly what is yours to do. You've got to use it before those ideas go to the grave with you. Moving into section 1, do not fall back. We are going to completely deconstruct the myth of plan B. You know, we've all heard this incredibly dangerous piece of advice. Make sure you have something to fall back on. Think about it. When you're in school, applying to college, picking a major, or starting a new career, well-meaning people are constantly telling you to have a backup plan. But Denzel challenges this head-on. Relying on a fallback plan actually programs your mindset to expect failure. It fundamentally assumes you just aren't going to make it. Which leads to a crucial point. You will inevitably fail. You're going to lose, you'll embarrass yourself, and you'll suck at something at some point. That is a total guarantee in life. But if you're going to fall, you have to fall forward. You must embrace that inevitability of failure and use the momentum to propel yourself into the unknown. Because, like Denzel says, at the very least this way, you'll see what you're about to hit. Section 2, the art of falling forward. Here is the absolute proof that massive failure always precedes massive success. We're going to see how some absolute legends didn't just survive failure, they literally weaponized it. Think about the number 2,600 for a second. That represents exactly how many times baseball legend Reggie Jackson struck out during his career. That's the most strikeouts in the entire history of baseball. Yet nobody talks about the strikeouts, right? People only remember his home runs. He fell forward every single time he stepped up to that plate. Or how about the number 1,000? He conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Most people don't know that. But Thomas Edison didn't see them as failures at all. He just knew that the 1,001st experiment was going to be the light bulb. Every single failed experiment was simply one absolutely necessary step closer to success. And finally, get a load of this number, 30 plus. That's how many job rejections entrepreneur Jack Ma faced before building his global empire Alibaba. At one point, he actually applied for a job at KFC. Get this, there were 24 applicants, 23 were accepted. Jack Ma was the single person rejected out of the entire group. Imagine the sting of that. But he absolutely refused to believe that failure meant the end. Jack Ma actually compares rejection to having a weak Wi-Fi signal in a public place, which is just a brilliant way to look at it. It's frustrating, sure, but you don't permanently stop using the internet just because the signal drops. The reality is that early hardships and constant no's are simply tests of your perseverance. They are definitely not reasons to quit the connection entirely. They're just one necessary step closer to your ultimate success. To bring this whole falling forward concept full circle, look at this incredible 30-year loop. Early in his career, Denzel Washington auditioned for a Broadway musical and failed miserably because he just couldn't sing. But he walked out, prepared for the next audition, and kept failing. As he puts it, if you hang around the barber shop long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut. 30 years later, he starred in the massive hit play Fences at the Cork Theater, literally the exact same theater where he failed that first audition. You will eventually catch a break and arrive right where you belong if you simply refuse to quit. All right, Section 3, Consistency, Discipline, and Results. Subtitle, The Armor of Execution. It is time to put that armor on because ease is a far greater threat to your progress than hardship. You really have to do the work. Because listen, just dreaming big simply isn't enough. You can think outside the box all day long, like solving that old 9-dot IQ test by drawing lines way outside the boundaries, but without actionable targets, those big dreams actually turn toxic. Dreams without goals are just dreams, and ultimately, they just fuel deep disappointment. To combat that kind of disappointment, you literally have to structure your ambition. Denzel breaks down a really strict hierarchy of goals. You need life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, and all the way down to granular daily goals. And a daily goal doesn't have to be moving a mountain, It can be as simple as just keeping your temper in check and not cursing somebody out that day. Execution demands this level of extreme daily granularity. Denzel's mother gave him some brilliant advice. Do not confuse movement with progress. You can be running in place on a treadmill, sweating, doing a whole lot of stuff, but never actually getting anywhere. That is just movement. To achieve real progress, you have to apply true discipline and consistency every single day, not just on a Tuesday when the motivation randomly strikes. You have to actively move forward to achieve actual results. Let's look at Jack Ma's absolute bottom line for execution. The world owes you absolutely nothing, and people are going to doubt your recipe until they taste the meal. Success is never an overnight event. You have to convince your critics not with words, but with hard, undeniable results. Perfect conditions? They will never exist. You must serve your critics' success on a silver platter through relentless, grinding execution, always remembering that change is constant and the darkest hour is always right before the dawn. This brings us to Section 4, the true measure of success. We're redefining what winning actually looks like through the selfish joy of giving back. Let this really sink in. You will never, ever see a U-Haul behind a hearse. It doesn't matter how much money you make, the fancy cars you drive, or if you're a doctor, lawyer, or high-flying entrepreneur. You cannot take your wealth with you. Like Denzel jokes, the Egyptians tried taking it with them into the pyramids, and they just got robbed. True success is not about how much you have. It's entirely about what you do with what you have. So this brings us to what I think is the ultimate paradox of success. Denzel argues that the most selfish thing you can do in this world is actually to help someone else. Why? Because the highest level of gratification, the absolute best feeling you will ever experience, comes from the joy of helping others. When you finally claim your success, you must reach back down and pull someone else up with you. Each one, teach one. The world desperately needs your specific talents and your treasures. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with an incredible quote from Nelson Mandela and a pretty provocative thought. You have a choice today. Are you going to continue to run in place, settle for playing small, and let the ghost of your unfulfilled potential follow you all the way to the grave? Or will you risk everything, embrace the ghost protocol, fall forward through your inevitable failures, and finally give this world the true, brilliant potential you are fully capable of delivering? The choice is entirely yours. So, what are you going to do?